Shalom Mubarakah, Mispakah, peace and blessings, family. Kick back, relax, watch this video. As you can see, I got this lavender incense burning in the background. This nice, peaceful video. So, what's the deal with circumcision, guys? What is the deal with circumcision? Why is circumcision even a thing? A lot of people around the world are saying circumcision is a barbaric and savage practice that does not need to take place, right? And that's okay for them to say that, because a lot of these people around the world who saying this are not descendants of Abraham. And this is just some real thing that we got to talk about. Like, if you're not a descendant of Abraham, of course, you're instinctively not gonna like circumcision. So, it's not for everybody. It's only for the descendants of Abraham. It was a covenant for them. Now, for the people who are descendants of Abraham, circumcision is required. Now, I'm specifically talking to the descendants of Yasharal, or the descendants of the slave trade in the Americas, in Africa, and in Europe. These are the people who need to be walking around circumcised. But why would the creator of the heavens and earth himself, why would he command such a bloody ritual? Why would he tell us to take off a part of our body that he gave us in the first place? In this video, we're going to talk about every single thing that has to do with circumcision. So let's open up to the book of Genesis chapter 17 and verse 9. It says, "And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised." So what are we dealing with? Yah is telling us this is the covenant that I made with you. When us children of Yasharal wake up to who we truly are, and when we start to keep the commandments of Yah, we have immediately entered into the covenant of Yah. And when you walk into the covenant of Yah, we say we came into the truth. But what it is really is, we have literally just entered the covenant of Yah. And when you enter into the covenant of Yah, it's important to make sure you're circumcised. And you'll be shocked and surprised the amount of Israelite men who know that they're Israelites who are still not circumcised. And it's a very important thing, and I'm going to explain why it's an important thing. But circumcision is an extreme essential part of being in the covenant of Yah. Yah takes it very, very seriously. So serious, in fact, that let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 24. And it says, "And it came to pass by the way in the end that Yahuwah met him and sought to kill him." Now, who is Yahuwah trying to kill? Moses. If you read the verses above that, you'll see that it was talking to Moses, talking about Moses to begin with. And verse 25 says, "Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me." All we see is that Yah was going up to Moses, about to kill Moses, but it doesn't tell us why he was going to kill Moses. But then in the very next verse, we see Zipporah, Moses' wife, circumcising Moses' son. Now, a lot of people do not know why Moses was about to get killed in this verse. But when we go into the book of Jasher, chapter 79 and verse 8, it says, "And Moses rose up to go to Mizraim, and he took his wife and his sons with him. And he was at the end in the road. And an angel of Allah came down and sought an occasion against him. And he wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son. because he had not circumcised him, and had transgressed the covenant which Yahuwah made with Abraham. So we see that the angel was going to kill Moses literally because Moses knew that a part of being an Israelite is to circumcise your son. Moses himself was circumcised. He was raised by his Hebrew parents for 3 months, right? Moses himself was circumcised. He knew about the circumcision. He wasn't stupid. But he still did not circumcise his son. In fact, he told his wife Zipporah about circumcision. That's why Zipporah instinctively knew to circumcise. Let's look. Let's continue reading. Verse 10, it says, "For Moses had hearkened to the words of his father-in-law, which he had spoken to him, not to circumcise his firstborn. Therefore he circumcised him not." So his father-in-law told Moses, don't circumcise your son, because they're Midianites. Midianites knew about circumcision because they are descendants from Abraham as well. However, they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know why they should do it, because they're descendants of Abraham as well, but they just did not do it. Y'all didn't really force it upon those other nations anyway, because all his care was towards the children of Yasharal. Alright? So Moses didn't listen to Yah, he listened to his father-in-law, told him, don't circumcise your son. And let's continue reading. "And she knew that this thing was owing to his not circumcised son, Gershom." So Zipporah, his wife, had good intuition. She knew exactly why the angel was going to kill Moses. That's where that feminine intuition comes in. Rebecca had it. Sarah had it. Now Zipporah had it. So Zipporah instinctively knew what to do. And that is, she got a sharp stone and chopped the foreskin off of her son. And she knew that in marrying Moses, it was going to have to come with those types of things. That's why she said, "A bloody husband thou art." Because she didn't realize the things that the Israelites do. And she didn't actually think about it until she actually had to do it. With that being said, since Yah's attention is on Moses, because he's choosing him to lead the children of Israel out of captivity, he looked at his son and said, wait, your son not even circumcised, man. And you knew better. Now, it's one thing if you don't know, right? But to know and to not do is a capital offense in the eyes of Yah. I want all Israelite men to hear this. If you are still not circumcised, and you know that you are to be circumcised, whenever Yah casts his eyes upon you, he will kill you. I'm just going to be real with you. Like, I know you guys, don't really want to hear that. But if Yah ever chooses to put you in any type of position of authority, and he sees that you know that you're supposed to be circumcised, but you're not, or that you know that your son is supposed to be circumcised, but he's not, he will kill you. When you're dealing with Yah, you're dealing with a powerful entity that does not play around. The Christians don't know him. The Jewish people don't know him. The Muslims don't know him. They don't know how serious he is. When it comes to it's a contract that we made with our Allah. It's a contract. And we got to keep that contract according to what we signed. And the price of breaking that contract is our soul, man. Y'all put it in us, he can take it out. That's just the real facts of the matter. So if you want to continue living on this earth and you watch this video, it's time to get circumcised. But let's talk about what kind of circumcision, right? I'm going to teach you the Israelite way to get circumcised. And I'm also going to teach you why circumcision is important. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about circumcision. So let's go to the whiteboard, shall we? So, reasons for circumcision. Number one, STI and STD prevention. Yes, some studies have shown that when you have a circumcised penis, you have a lower chance of contracting certain STIs and STDs. But people who are young and just came into the covenant of Yahuwah, there's no reason that you should worry about STDs and STIs if you don't have one already. Reason why is because you will not be sleeping around. You will select a wife and you will marry a wife. You know what I'm saying? You should not sleep around. She should not sleep around. We're separating ourselves from this world of sexual immorality, which is a festering pot of all these diseases. Now, another main reason for circumcision is cleanliness. Cleanliness. So let's look in the book of Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, "And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasrael, and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth, that have the issue, it is unclean. And whosoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe in water, and be unclean unto even. And he that sitteth on anything thereon that he sitteth, that hath the issue, shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto even. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue, shall wash his clothes, and bathe in water, and be unclean unto evening." So, this is about a man having an issue running out of his flesh. Now, this is talking about any type of bacterial infection that causes pus, right? That causes a rush of white blood cells to the infected area, causing pus to leak out of the flesh. Now, with an uncircumcised penis, there is a significantly increased amount of infections that you will have. Now, there is something called phimosis, right? And that's when the foreskin is too tight and it cannot pull back. So it gets tight, and sometimes a lot of sebum gets trapped inside of it. Sebum is basically the oils that our body naturally produces. That then leads to bacterial infections, and that's unclean. If you, it's like a lot of white pus and yellow pus starts to fester in that area, and that's unclean. Yahuwah does not want his people walking around like that. Now, also, there's something called paraphimosis. Paraphimosis is kind of the same thing, except paraphimosis is when the foreskin is retracted back beyond the head of the penis and gets stuck right there. It's like choking the penis. And what that causes is sometimes, if it's really bad, it can stop blood flow from getting to the tip of the penis from the penis glands, right? And we don't want that to happen, because, you know, if it goes on too long, then you lose your dick. You don't want that to happen. So obviously what you got to do is get circumcised to prevent things like that. The entire foreskin, when it has that tight band around it, a whole bunch of different things get caught in there, and it can mix with the oils that the body is producing. The foreskin produces a lubricant, a natural lubricant that keeps it moisturized permanently. But here's the problem. Because of the tight band, the inner foreskin that coats the gland's penis, because of that, it kind of builds a terrarium of bacteria that just continues to grow and grow. It's like take some food and put it in a Tupperware container and put a top on it for a long time. It's just gonna continue to grow more and more fungus and bacteria, causing so many different types of infections. The different types of infections that you can get because you're uncircumcised is an extremely long list. Yahuwah doesn't want us walking around like that. Speaking of cleanliness, have you guys seen my line of soaps? I've got all kinds of all natural soaps made out of ingredients from nature, things that cleanse their body perfectly. Stuff that's actually made out of herbs and plants that your body needs, providing you with the vital essential nutrients for your body, guys. Your pores suck everything down in your dermis, which leads to the blood vessels. So if you're still using chemicals on your skin, you need to switch over to my line of soaps. You can use all kinds of natural ingredients to put on your skin to relax your muscles and to do all kinds of other things. Now, let's understand what circumcision is in Hebrew. Circumcision in Hebrew, Mullein, Vav, Lamad, right? Mul. The Mullein means chaos. The Vav means establish. And the Lamad means rod or authority. So what it literally means is chaos establishes authority. From the pain that you will feel getting circumcised, you have established a rod of rulership over this earth, because you have taken upon you the sign of the covenant of Yahuwah of hosts. Now you are above all people, according to Deuteronomy 7:6. As you have put the sign of the covenant of Yahuwah upon you. Speaking of the Hebrew word mul, there is a herb called mullein that you need. You more than likely need it. I mean, it is an herb that cleanses the lungs so much that it has actually eradicated many of my clients' asthma, tuberculosis, heavy mucus in the lungs. They just cough it up. You take the herb, you roll it up, you smoke it, and it actually makes you expel all the mucus and tar and all debris out of the lungs. So yeah, click the link below to get that. Right, so now that out of that chaos, which is temporary pain that lasts a few days, you have established authority. Right, so now let's understand this. Why the 8th day? Why does Torah teach that we must circumcise our son on the 8th day of life? Why does the Torah teach that? Well, it's very simple, guys. It takes 7 days for a baby to produce sufficient vitamin K levels after birth. The first 7 days of a baby's life, they are producing vitamin K for the first time. Now that's important, because vitamin K is the same vitamin inside of the bloodstream that allows the blood to clot up whenever the flesh is broken, right? So anytime the flesh is broken and there's not a lot of vitamin K, then you will bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed, and sometimes you bleed until you die. So if you have a good amount of vitamin K in the body, you can cut yourself and the blood will come out, and a lot of platelets will be collected on the cut, and it'll cause a scab, and you won't bleed anymore within only a few minutes. So newborn babies do not have sufficient vitamin K levels. So if you're giving birth to a boy and you immediately send him to the other room to get circumcised, you'll notice that they have to give him a vitamin K shot right before that. They cannot get him, they will never give the baby a circumcision without giving him a vitamin K shot first, right? Because if you do, you have the possibility of killing the child. He'll bleed out. But y'all said just wait till the 8th day. On the 8th day, the body has sufficient vitamin K levels. So science is proving y'all right? We don't really need the science. We could just listen and obey our Father. But in this secular age that we live in, where everybody's going by science, it's important for us to teach the science as well as the scripture, so people can understand exactly why these things are commanded. So the 8th day is important because the baby will have all of his vitamin K that it needs, to where you can cut the foreskin, and guess what? It won't bleed out. Also, what you want to know, if you ever watched my numerology videos, which you did not, nobody watched those videos, but they're very informational. The number 8 represents cleansing and protection. You are doing both when you circumcise. You are protecting them against 3 things. You are protecting them against possible STIs. You are protecting them against just simple infections that you can get. And you are protecting them from we're not in the land anymore, but if we were in the land, going into the tabernacle and dying. If you walk in the tabernacle and you're unclean, you die. You drop dead. So that's why it was so important, right? For y'all to give us these clean and unclean laws so we can not defile the tabernacle just because we walked in unclean. That's how it's protecting us. But also it's cleansing us, clearly, because it's Levitically cleansing us. It's ceremonially cleansing us from our illnesses. So whenever scripture says circumcise your heart, it's telling you to cleanse your mind. Cleanse your mind, right? Cleanse your mind from the negativity, from the wickedness, and from the sin. So when you circumcise your penis, you are cleansing the penis. Permanent cleanse, a permanent cleanse. When you have an uncircumcised penis, you can't live in a desert. When you have an uncircumcised penis and you're traveling through the desert, you'll get an infection. The sweat and sebum and everything will cause an infection. So circumcised people today, they just take baths every day. For the most part, they're good. But that wasn't always the thing, especially when people were traveling long distances. You couldn't just take a bath every day, right? So, obviously in the Exodus, we were traveling for 40 years, and we was taking breaks in between for baths and things of that nature. But sometimes we couldn't go every single day. We couldn't bathe every day. Abraham was not the first person to be circumcised. Circumcision is a practice that instinctively went on thousands of years before Abraham. Humans knew that circumcision was more comfortable. Humans knew that when you grow, as your body grows, the foreskin tends to get tight and it feels uncomfortable, so they cut it off. Now, let me tell you this. Do not bring your child, nor bring you to the hospital to get circumcised. Do it yourself. You're not going to do it right. The way that doctors circumcise babies now is they botch it. If you are circumcised watching this video, you have a botched circumcision. I have a botched circumcision. We all have botched circumcisions. Why? Simply because they've cut too much off. This is what they did. This is a baby's penis. This is an adult's penis. But on both penises, you can see that there's two lines, the blue and red. The blue line all the way up here, this gives the range of the outer foreskin layer. This is your outer foreskin layer. The red line all the way out indicates the inner foreskin layer. Our ancestors only cut the inner foreskin layer. So what they did is they would take this little thing right here and pull it and chop. You understand? Clearly they made sure they didn't cut the glands. Come on. Alright? Be careful. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to do that now. But hospitals, they go all the way up here. If you're a man and you're alone watching this video, pull out your meat and look. There's going to be a dark line right here. And that dark line means you have a botched circumcision. They cut you too much. And guess what? They stitched you. They stitched you back. After they did it, they gave you stitches. Do you read about stitches in scripture? Did they do that? No. Because they only cut the tip of the foreskin. Is the inner layer. It's the tight part. It's the rubber band. And that is the part that causes the infections. That's the part that makes it tight and causes pain and causes bleeding and causes this and causes that. This little piece causes all those complications that Yah doesn't want you to have. So he tells you to cut it off. This is called a rabbinic circumcision. Basically, rabbinic because of the rabbis, the Jewish people, right? Modern Jewish people do not do Torah like Torah was originally done. That's what we have to understand. They like to see as much blood as possible during the circumcision. They circumcise as far up as possible the entire outer foreskin layer, which is not what our ancestors did. We did not amputate our foreskin. You are supposed to have a foreskin. Y'all did not tell you to cut off your foreskin. He said circumcise your foreskin. That means to cut the piece off of your foreskin, the top piece of your foreskin. He never said to completely cut off all the foreskin. Y'all never said amputate your foreskin. Y'all did not give you a body part that you don't need. You need your foreskin, you just don't need that little piece of the foreskin. Because that little piece of your foreskin, it helped you in your mother's womb, preventing the amniotic fluid from getting into the glands. But when you come out of your mother's womb, you do not need that little piece of foreskin anymore, so cut it off. And if you continue to grow with that little piece, it could get tight, cause complications. It could get a lot of stuff trapped in it, cause complications. And these complications can end up being more painful than circumcision itself. You can literally get your penis amputated if these get too bad. You don't want that to happen, right? Like this is real stuff. For example, if this tight little part comes all the way up here, it'll cut off circulation. Then the glands will basically die, and you have to get it amputated. You'll never have a penis in your entire life. This is what we're dealing with here. So it's not like y'all just made up a random law to be like, oh, cut your meat. No, y'all not just gonna tell you to cut your meat for no reason. There's serious reasons as to why he told you to do it. But I'm telling you, don't go to the hospital, do it yourself. If you're a grown man, do it yourself. Cut off this little piece. Pull your little meat. Pull that little thing off. You know, that little tight part. Get some scissors and chop it. I mean, it's extremely painful. You're going to be in pain for a few days. Who cares? You're a man. This wasn't something he gave women. This is a commandment he gave men. You're a man. All right? I don't want to hear, oh, I need to go to the hospital so they can give me anesthesia. What? Anesthesia? Y'all are looking at you like, what? Chaos establishes authority. If you getting numbed from the pain, that don't count. Abraham circumcised himself at 75 years old. Be a man. Ishmael circumcised himself at 13 years old. Be a man. And circumcise your children yourself. Don't let them. Don't bring your child to a random man you never met to touch your child's meat. Don't do it. But if you notice, Zipporah, she used a sharp stone. That should show you that the way they do it now is wrong. Because there's no way they can do what they do now with a sharp stone. Go all around and cut all this off with a sharp stone, then stitch it back. No.